Imagine driving to your local Walmart, the place where you have bought groceries for 20 years. You pull into the parking lot, but instead of the usual bustle of shoppers, you find it empty. The automatic doors are locked. The windows are boarded up with plywood. And on the glass, a single printed sign reads, "Permanently closed." This is not a scene from a movie. This is happening right now in Chicago, in Portland, in San Francisco, and soon in your town. The retail giants that built the American consumer economy are retreating. They are boarding up and leaving. But they aren't telling you the real reason why. It isn't just about theft. It isn't just about profits. It is because the global supply chain that fills those massive shelves has quietly died. The era of abundance is over. The era of the empty shelf has begun. Let's look at the hard data. Walmart closed 23 stores last year. Target closed 9. Walgreens is closing 1,200. CVS is closing 900. These are not failing companies. These are Fortune 500 giants. When they retreat, it signals a collapse in the fundamental structure of the economy. They operate on data we don't see. They know that the consumer is broke. They know that the cost to transport goods is exploding. They know that the supply of cheap goods from China is drying up. They are cutting off the dying limbs of the economy to save the corporate body. You are living in a retail ghost town in the making. The modern grocery store is a magic trick. It holds only 3 days of food supply. It relies on a convoy of trucks arriving every single day to restock the shelves. This is the just-in-time delivery system. It works great when gas is cheap and the world is peaceful. But today, diesel is expensive and the world is at war. We are seeing a breakdown in the trucking industry. Thousands of independent truckers have parked their rigs because the rates they are paid don't cover the cost of fuel. When the trucks stop, the magic trick ends. The shelves go empty in 72 hours. We are currently 48 hours away from a panic. Before the shelves go empty, the products shrink. Pick up a bag of chips. Pick up a bottle of detergent. It feels lighter, doesn't it? That is because it is. This is shrinkflation. Corporations are hiding the inflation by giving you less product for the same price. It is a subtle form of rationing. They are trying to stretch the dwindling supply of raw materials. But there is a physical limit. Once they can't shrink the package anymore, they have to raise the price or stop selling it. We have reached that limit. The next phase is not smaller packages, it is no packages. By closing stores in urban and rural areas, corporations are creating food deserts. These are vast areas where millions of Americans have no access to fresh food within 10 miles. This forces people to rely on dollar stores, fast food, or government handouts. This centralization is dangerous. If you cannot get food from a local store, you become dependent on the digital delivery grid, Amazon, Uber Eats. This gives the tech giants total control over your survival. If your digital ID is declined, you don't eat. The closure of physical stores is the construction of a digital prison. The problem starts in the soil. 2025 was a catastrophic year for global agriculture. Droughts in the Midwest, floods in China, and the war in Ukraine have decimated grain yields. India, the world's largest rice exporter, has banned exports to feed its own people. This is food nationalism. Every country is hoarding its own food. The United States imports a massive percentage of its produce. When the exporting nations close their borders, the American salad bowl goes empty. We are facing a caloric deficit in 2026. We cannot ignore the lawlessness. Organized gangs are stripping shelves bare in minutes. This isn't shoplifting, this is looting. And it is happening because the social contract is breaking. When people cannot afford to buy food because of inflation, they steal it. Retailers cannot operate in a war zone. As they leave, they take the jobs and the food access with them, leaving behind a vacuum of poverty and crime. This lawlessness is a symptom of a dying currency. When money loses value, laws lose their power. The FBI has warned that the U.S. agricultural sector is the #1 target for ransomware attacks. Imagine if the software that manages the meat processing plants goes down, or the software that routes the trucks. The entire system freezes. We are one hacker away from a famine. The centralization of our food supply into a few massive corporations makes us incredibly vulnerable. A single point of failure can starve a nation. Food prices are the spark that ignites hyperinflation. You can delay buying a new car. You cannot delay buying dinner. As food becomes scarce, people will bid up the price with whatever money they have. This increases the velocity of money. People spend their paychecks immediately on rice and beans because they know it will cost more tomorrow. This panic buying creates a feedback loop that destroys the currency. We are seeing the early signs of this in the price of beef and eggs. We talk about supply chains, but we forget that China controls the ingredients of our supply chain. They control the vitamins in our food, the antibiotics for our livestock, and the plastic for our packaging. In a trade war, China doesn't have to bomb us. They just have to stop shipping vitamin C and penicillin. The empty shelves at Target are a warning shot from Beijing. We have outsourced our survival to our enemy. In 1943, Americans grew 40% of their vegetables in backyard victory gardens. In 2026, this will not be a hobby. It will be a survival strategy. The only supply chain you can trust is the one that runs from your garden to your kitchen. Seed sales are exploding. Smart people are realizing that a packet of heirloom seeds is worth more than a stack of dollar bills in a famine. When the shortages hit, the government will not stand by. They will implement rationing. But not with paper coupons. They will use your smartphone. Digital rationing. Your CBDC wallet will only allow you to buy 2 pounds of meat per week. If you try to buy more, the transaction will decline. They will call it fair distribution. It is actually high-tech starvation. The closure of physical stores facilitates this transition to digital rationing. While you worry about the grocery bill, the billionaires are buying the farm. Bill Gates is the largest owner of private farmland in the US. China is buying land near our military bases. Why? Because they know that in a collapsing economy, real assets, land, food, water, are the only true wealth. They are cornering the market on the source of life. The first things to vanish will be the complex processed foods, the cookies, the frozen dinners, the snacks. These require supply chains that span 50 countries. That complexity is breaking. We are going back to basics: flour, rice, beans, oil. The era of infinite variety is over. The American consumer, spoiled by choice, is about to face the shock of simplicity. You might ask, what does this have to do with silver? Everything. When money buys less food, people lose faith in money. They look for a store of value that has survived every famine in history. Silver buys food. In every hyperinflation, from Rome to Weimar to Venezuela, silver coins were used to trade for bread and milk when the paper currency was rejected. Holding silver is holding future meals. There is a famous saying, anarchy is only 3 missed meals away. If the supply chain breaks for 72 hours, the veneer of civilization disappears. We saw it during the pandemic over toilet paper. Imagine what happens over food. The government is militarizing the police because they know hunger leads to riots. The empty shelves are the fuse. Inflation is the match. When a shopper sees a half-empty shelf, their instinct is to buy everything that is left. I'd better get it before it's gone. This rational hoarding accelerates the shortage. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We are seeing this psychology take hold right now. The prepper mindset is going mainstream because the system is failing to provide security. As small stores close, the big ones get bigger. Amazon and Walmart will be the last ones standing. This gives them monopoly power to set prices. They will squeeze the consumer until they break. The death of the local shop is the death of competitive pricing. You will pay what they tell you to pay, or you will starve. You cannot fix the global supply chain, but you can fix your household. Build a deep pantry. Have 3 months of food stored. Buy from local farmers. Get out of the just-in-time lifestyle. And convert your excess cash into silver, which acts as a battery of wealth that you can trade when the system fails. The closed sign on Walmart is a tombstone for the American economy. It signals the end of the debt-fueled consumption binge. The party is over. The hangover is here. The shelves are emptying and the dollar is dying. Do not wait until you are hungry to prepare. Fill your pantry, fill your safe, and buckle up. The ride is about to get rough. It's not just food, it's medicine. Walgreens and CVS are closing hundreds of stores. This is creating pharmacy deserts, where the elderly and the sick have to travel miles to get life-saving prescriptions. The supply chain for antibiotics, insulin, and heart medication is heavily dependent on India and China. As geopolitical tensions rise, these shipments are being delayed or diverted. A shortage of medicine is far more dangerous than a shortage of bread. It leads to panic, desperation, and a breakdown of the healthcare system. The closure of your local pharmacy is a matter of life and death. The dollar store was the last refuge for the poor. But even they are failing. Dollar Tree and Family Dollar are closing 1,000 stores. Why? Because inflation has made it impossible to sell anything for $1. When the stores that serve the most vulnerable populations shut down, it pushes millions of people into food insecurity. This is the destruction of the bottom rung of the economic ladder. When the poor cannot buy basic necessities, social unrest is inevitable. When a Walmart or a Target closes, it kills the local real estate market. These anchor stores drive traffic to smaller businesses. When the anchor leaves, the strip mall dies. The restaurants close. The property values plummet. We are seeing the creation of commercial ghost towns across America. This destroys the tax base of the city, leading to cuts in police and fire services, which leads to more crime, which leads to more store closures. It is a doom loop that turns suburbs into slums. As corporate retail dies, the gray market rises. People are turning to flea markets, garage sales, and Facebook Marketplace to find goods that are unavailable or too expensive in stores. We are seeing a return to an informal economy. People are trading used clothes, tools, and electronics. In this economy, cash is king and taxes are ignored. The government hates this because they cannot control it, but it is the only way people can survive the retail apocalypse. Corporations know you are broke. So they are shifting from selling to renting. You won't own your car, you'll subscribe to it. You won't own your clothes, you'll rent them. This is the servicification of the economy. They want to turn you into a permanent renter of your own life. The closure of physical stores pushes you towards these digital subscription models where you own nothing and pay forever. Physical ownership is freedom. Subscription is serfdom. The retail collapse is directly linked to energy. Stores require massive amounts of electricity for lights and refrigeration. As energy prices soar due to the green agenda and war, the cost of keeping a store open becomes unsustainable. We are seeing energy rationing in Europe, where stores have to dim their lights or turn off fridges at night. This is coming to America. A store that cannot afford electricity cannot sell food. The energy crisis is the invisible hand closing the doors of Main Street. There is a profound psychological impact when you see an empty shelf. It shatters the illusion of stability. For generations, Americans have believed that the store will always have food. When that belief is broken, anxiety spikes. People become aggressive. They hoard. They distrust their neighbors. The social fabric tears. The empty shelf is a mirror reflecting a society that has lost its confidence in the future. The only solution is localization. The global supply chain is dead. Long live the local supply chain. Communities that support local farmers, butchers, and craftsmen will survive. Communities that rely on big box stores will starve. We are seeing a massive shift towards farm to table not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Knowing your farmer is more important than knowing your banker. The economy is shrinking from global to local, and that is a painful but necessary transition. In a localized economy, silver coins are the perfect medium of exchange. You can't use a credit card at a farmer's market if the grid is down. You can't use a check if the bank is closed. Silver is trustless, peer-to-peer money. As the big retailers leave, the small merchants who replace them will prefer hard assets over digital IOUs. Holding silver gives you purchasing power in the emerging parallel economy that is rising from the ashes of the corporate retail sector. The boarded-up windows of Walmart are the writing on the wall. The system of debt-based consumption has hit its physical limit. The supply chain has snapped. The shelves are bare. But this is not the end. It is a reset. It is an opportunity to rebuild a more resilient, local, and honest economy. But the transition will be chaotic. Do not rely on the system to feed you. Become a producer, not just a consumer. Stock up, skill up, and stack up. The store is closed, but the future is open for those who are prepared.